So I lived in Australia for 2 years, and in today's video I'm going to talk about my favourite place in Australia and why maybe you should definitely move there. Definitely my favourite city at least, which we'll come on to. So before we get into the video, make sure you give the video a like and subscribe, and let's have a look at my favourite place that I lived in Australia. So this place is Perth in Western Australia. This was the last place that I actually went to in Australia. It was where I spent the remainder of my time on my second year. I lived in Perth for 9 months, and let me tell you, I definitely saved the best till last. Was it my favourite place in general? Maybe. It was definitely my favourite place to live. I lived in Sydney. I did my farm work up in Queensland where I lived for a bit. I lived in Adelaide as well. And also I lived in Perth, and Perth was definitely my favourite out of everywhere that I lived. I think it's just an amazing city. In today's video, I'm gonna go on to some reasons why maybe you should move to Perth and my experience there and some of the benefits of why Perth, in my opinion, is definitely the best city in Australia. So let's start with a list of the positives, the best things about living in Perth. So number one, obviously, is the weather. Now the weather in Australia is generally very nice, but out of everywhere I lived, Perth 100% has the best weather. I actually didn't realize the weather was going to be this nice until I lived there, and it is incredible. I lived there in the winter, and even the winter is pretty, it's not hot, but it's not cold. It's sunny enough in the winter. One of the best things about Perth though is during the summer period, I would say between maybe November and March, I think we maybe got 1 or 2 days of rain max, and hardly any even cloudy days, to be honest. Honestly, during the summer, 90% of the days are bright blue skies, and it is so sunny. I've never lived somewhere so sunny in my life. It's incredible. And the best thing about it is it's like a dry heat. It's not humid, so you don't really sweat that much. So when it's 42 degrees, yes, it's hot, but it's not as hot as what 30 degrees would be, I don't know, somewhere like Asia, where it's very humid. Perth is somewhat manageable because it's not so humid. It does get very hot once it gets to January and February, so if you don't like a lot of heat, then it might not be the best bet for you, but personally, someone that likes the sun, it's the best place, honestly. Next up is the beaches. Now, Perth beaches, for me, are probably the best beaches in Australia, Western Australia beaches in general, but the fact that Perth has beaches like this, so close to the city centre, is unbelievable. Rottnest Island as well, probably some of the best beaches I've ever seen, and they're so close to the city as well. Next up is the scenery. Now, I think it's probably the most scenic city in Australia. Sydney gets a lot of ratings for how scenic it is down by the harbour, but for me, Perth is probably even better. I think the scenery in Perth is incredible. The way the city is situated by the water, honestly, so many amazing spots and viewpoints around the city as well. Kings Park, definitely worth a visit. Next up is opportunities. Perth is such a fast growing city. I think it's one of the fastest growing cities in Australia, which means there's so many job opportunities, particularly in construction, because, well, they're building so much there. But any sort of job, hospitality, whatever you're looking for, Perth is a very fast growing city and definitely always looking for a lot of workers. Next up is the people. Now, generally, I found Aussies very nice, but I've got to say, I think Perth people, probably the nicest people in Australia. I think they're so detached from the rest of Australia and just very, very chilled out. Definitely the nicest Aussies, I would say. And also there's a big British population there. There's something like 200,000 British people that live in Perth. Very noticeable when you're there. There's a lot of English. So if you're from the UK and you want to be surrounded by some other Brits, it's a great option. Next up is the nature. The nature around the city is amazing. It's got Kings Park, for example, which I believe is the biggest inner city park in the southern hemisphere. It's a massive park with amazing views right next to the city. There's also amazing hills where you can do some hikes. Literally a half-an-hour train from the city centre. As well as this, you've got the beaches, obviously, and loads of just green spaces and parks around the city, which, as someone that doesn't like the concrete jungle vibes, Perth is perfect if you like that mix of city and nature. The next thing is that it's clean and it's safe. One of the cleanest cities in Australia for sure. I think Aussie cities are just very clean in general, but yeah, it's clean and it's very safe, like most of the Australian cities are. But Perth, yeah, felt particularly clean, felt particularly well kept as well. The city, very well kept, you know what I mean? Not really, obviously it's got its rough areas, but you just avoid them. And the next one is it's peaceful and it's out of the way. It's busy enough that there's lots of opportunities and lots to do, lots of events as well, but it's not as intense as like Sydney, for example, which is twice the size and a lot busier, a lot more traffic, and just a lot busier. In Perth, you've got beaches which are way nicer than Sydney's beaches, in my opinion, and way less people on the beach. So there are some reasons why Perth might just be the best city in Australia for you to live in. There is one common complaint that Perth gets, however, probably the biggest negative that people say about Perth, and that is that it's isolated and so far away from the rest of the world. Now, whilst this can be a negative, I would actually say that I don't see why this would affect living in Perth for a number of reasons. One, yes, it's isolated from the rest of the world, but isn't that a good thing at the moment? The current state of the world, every Western country seems to be having its issues and wars threatening here and there. The politics in the world is crazy at the minute. Isn't it a good thing to be detached from the rest of the world at the minute? I don't think that's a bad thing that Perth is so far away from everything. You almost feel like you're in your own little bubble when you're in Perth, very peaceful and not too many issues. And also, people say it's so isolated from other cities, but if you think about it, if you're going between any cities in Australia, you've got to fly anyway. If you're going from Sydney to Melbourne or Melbourne to Brisbane, whatever, you've got to fly between them cities anyway. So all it is you're spending an extra hour or two on a plane. By the time you've actually gone to the airport and stuff, I don't see why it's really that different. It's not like you can drive between the other Australian cities and you've got to fly to Perth. Realistically, you're flying between all the cities anyway. It's just an extra couple of hours, which I think is definitely worth it when you're getting to Perth at the end of it. So yeah, there's some points about Perth. Definitely my favourite city in Australia, and I highly recommend you move there, especially from the UK, as I said, because there is such a big British population as well, and there's so much to see there. Definitely worth a visit, or to live like I did. So yeah, let me know if you want to see more advice videos like this on places that I've been, and yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you very soon with another video.